Okay, so once you've gotten your materials, your cardboard, and tear off 2 pieces of tape, you're going to roll your cardboard up so that it forms a circle. You might have to crunch it a little bit around the edges to make it into a circle. And then roll it over so there's lots of room inside. When you roll this over, the magnet has to be able to fit inside with lots of room to spare. See how much room there is for the magnet to move around? So make sure your tube is pretty big and that you only overlap just a little bit. If you overlap too much and you don't have enough room on the inside, you're going to have to redo this, and it's a pain in the butt. So go ahead and put a piece of tape on the bottom here to hold your tube in a circle. Put a piece of tape on the top here to also hold your tube in a circle or cylinder. Okay, once you've done that, you are going to take your 7 magnets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, your 7 magnets, and 2 nuts. 1, 2 nuts. And you are going to go get some glue from Mr. Simmons. You're going to take the hot glue gun, and on one of your magnets, I don't care which one, on either side of the red line, you're going to put a dab of hot glue. Now when you put those dabs of hot glue on there, you don't want them to be touching. See how they're separate? And then you're going to take your 2 nuts, put 1 nut on one side, put 1 nut on the other side, and see how I've left a little gap in the middle? That little gap's very important. It's for our nail later. Press those in nice and firm so that they dry and they get nice and hard. Then what you're going to do, these are called neodymium magnets. It's a type of rare earth magnet, and they're very strong. So when you put these together, you have to be really careful and do it slowly. So bring them together. If they start to push apart, turn them around the other way. So bring the edges together first, and then slowly turn it down, and then slide them over each other. Now the one with the nuts on it, you are going to put 4 magnets on that side. If you let these magnets slam together, they're going to break, and then the next class can't use them, so be very careful. And then you're going to take your next magnet and start putting it on the other side of the nuts. And you should only have 3 magnets on this side. So you're making kind of a nut sandwich here. 4 magnets on this side, 3 magnets on the other. And see how you can see through the middle of the nuts? That's what you want. Next, you're going to take your tube and your nail, and you're going to poke a hole through one side of the tube. And then you are going to go poke a hole through the other side of the tube. Make sure that these holes are big enough to where the nail can move fairly freely. So if you need to, just move the nail around in the hole a little bit to make the hole a little bigger. And see how mine slides nice and easy now? That's what you want. Okay, next what you're going to do is you're going to back the nail off. You're going to set your magnets in, and you are going to feed that nail right through the middle of those 2 nuts. Now this is hard. Don't forget about perseverance. This is not going to be easy. So see how I've got the nail going through the 2 nuts? And I'm pushing, 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 and see how it's through? So it's in between those 2 nuts, and then it's going to poke out the other side. And so now what you should have is you should have a nail and some magnets that spin freely around each other. See how freely that spins? See how it's not hitting the sides of the cardboard? If yours is hitting the sides of the cardboard, you either wrapped your cylinder too tight, or you poked your nail through not centered and it's rubbing up against the side. So make sure that it's centered on each side of the tube and that it spins freely. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to wrap your wire around this about 200 times. So this is going to take a little while. One of you might want to hold the roll while the other person wraps. And when you start off, you're going to start off with a little pigtail here. So see the wire that's hanging off here? You want that to happen. And so as you're wrapping, you want to keep that tail going. So you're going to start wrapping. See how I left that tail out right there? You want that. And you're going to do this 200 times. And when you're wrapping, don't wrap super tightly, okay? Because we don't want to crush those magnets inside. One of the tricks that I found that really helped me was to take that little cylinder that the magnets came in and stick it on the inside here to keep it open nice and big so that when you're wrapping you don't crush it. So you're just going to do this 200 times. If you want to fast forward in this part of the video, you are welcome to, because I don't have time to edit it. So sorry. So you're just going to keep wrapping 200 times. You might want to keep count, your partner might want to keep count. Whatever it takes. This is why you might want to have your partner hold it, because it does get tangled up. Notice I'm not pulling super hard, I'm not wrapping super tight. I'm just wrapping in circles. Okay, that's about 200 times. So now I have my two ends, the end that I started with that I left out, and the end that I finished with. You're going to take a little piece of electrical tape, or whatever tape you have your partner hold this so that it doesn't come unwound. Pull the piece of tape off. You don't need scissors for this tape. It just tears right off. And stick it on the end that wants to come unraveled. That's the end that you last did. So there we go, there's our piece of tape to hold our two ends in place, and you can pull this center insert out. So now we have a magnet on the inside that should spin freely. Now notice in mine, it's not spinning freely because it's not centered in the cardboard anymore. So I'm just going to pull the nail out just a little bit, and I'm going to re-poke a hole over here a little ways. So now the magnet can spin. So that's what you can do if yours is rubbing really bad. Just pull the nail out like that and push it through a new spot in the cardboard. Be really careful when you do this. You don't want to poke a hole in your hands, okay? And now mine spins fairly freely. There we go. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to strip the insulation off of these wires. Now, I've already done this one, so it's not going to be as dramatic, but see how this wire here is red? You want it to be this color, because this color is what it looks like when the insulation is gone. So you're going to take a little sandpaper, and you are going to rub all of the insulation off until the wire looks silver like that. That's what it should look like. If you don't take all of the red stuff off, this is not going to work. Same thing with this side. Going to take your sandpaper, and you're going to keep going until all of the red stuff is off. Okay, all the red stuff is off of both of my contacts. So now I'm going to fix my tape because it got a little weird. I'm going to set my generator down. I'm going to take my 2 wires and my 2 clip cords. I'm going to clip one end to there and one end to the LED. What I did on the LED is I spread the contacts out a little bit so that they were easier to clip to and so that they didn't touch together. If any of these wires touch together or these wires touch together, it's not going to work. And LEDs are pretty fragile, so when you bend these apart, don't bend them too far. See how I just did a little bit of a bend? They're not like way out to the side. And then I'm going to take my other clip cord, clip one side to there, one side to here on the generator. There you go. And if you haven't used these alligator clips before, all you do is squeeze down and the little mouth opens. Okay, now that you've got this all set up, you are ready to go. So spin your nail. You're going to have to spin it kind of fast and see what happens. You might have to wiggle your connections a little bit. You might have to rub these back and forth a little bit. You might have to use your sandpaper to take off more. But you should notice something happening with the LED. Now it's not going to be really bright because there's not a lot of power here. But keep spinning your magnet, keep playing with it until it works for you, until you see the light come on.